Hey, what's going down, savages? Welcome to episode 32 of This Savage Life. I am your host, Stefan Paulin, and on this episode, I am joined by Justin Newhook. Justin is a professional wrestler from Nova Scotia, Canada. I met Justin a couple years ago, obviously through the business of professional wrestling. We've wrestled each other. Justin is part of the tag team Sabotage, a great tag team from the Maritimes. And we had ourselves a great conversation that went on for about 2 hours. So I'm gonna split this into two parts. Part 1 will be released on episode 32, and part 2 will be released next week on episode 33. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation I had with my good friend Justin Newhook. How you been?
Good. Tired a lot. Been sleeping way too much. Or not way too much, but I've been sleeping like that till like 6 a.m, and then like getting up at like 2 p.m.
So your sleeping schedule is all off whack right now.
It's insanely fucked. But today I got up at like 10 or 11 or something like that, and I got I went to bed actually like decently last night, so
that's good.
Yeah,
it's definitely fucked up. Like, I've tried to go to sleep around the same time, but like it's like I'm pushing it just an hour, so like it's like sometimes like 12:30, 1 o'clock, but then we sleep in till like 8:30 almost every morning.
Yeah,
so it's like my kids get up now, like we tell them like you don't get up till 8. They probably wake up at fucking 6:30, but they stay in their room and then they get up and they get out of their room, but they don't need us. They go in the fucking living room, they turn on Netflix or get on their phones and then we get up like 8:30, 9 o'clock, but it's like, it's different. It's fucking different.
It's different when you have kids too, though. You definitely, you have no choice. You have to get up.
You need to stick to that routine just for them, like as much as possible, because you can't get them out of whack like that. Because when life gets back to normal, they're gonna be like, "Whoa, wait a minute."
Yeah.
I don't work on this time anymore. I work on this fucking schedule. Oh man, it's it's all right. What outside of wrestling, what do you miss the most?
Being able to go to the gym.
Yeah,
being able to go to the gym. I've been slacking off for like the past 3 weeks since we got into lockdown, because we went and they locked down the week before we were supposed to go face Mustache Mountain.
Yeah.
So I was in a funk, and like I'll admit it, I have a very bad funk for a while. So I'm starting to get out of it, thankfully. Emily has been putting up with my not moodiness, but just like mopiness, just like walking around and aimlessly. I have no desire to do anything, but it's starting to come back, so that's good.
I went through the same thing. It's rough because it's like we're creatures. We're like creatures of habit. It's like we were like just being a pro wrestler. It's like you work your Monday to Friday, like me. Like I work, go to the gym every night. Work, go to the gym. Work, go to the gym. Wrestle on Saturday. Sometimes I wrestle on Sunday. Monday to Friday, you're back to normal. And now it's like, number one, you can't wrestle anymore. So there's that outlet at the end of the week where you're like taking everything out, and dumping all of that shit. You don't have that anymore.
No.
And now you're like, fuck, you're stuck at home. Like, man, I just miss like socializing with people. Not even socializing with people is what I realize I miss, is like, because when I go to the gym, I don't socialize. I'm just at my own. Yeah. Sometimes I'll talk, but very rarely, because number one, I'm there for a certain amount of time, but just to be around other people. You know what I mean? Like, other people in your surrounding, and you're surrounded by like people that are there for the same thing. that I kind of fucks with me right now because it's like,
and then silently bitching at the person with bad form over at the squat rack.
yeah. You all like share something. Sometimes you give each other looks, and you're like, yeah, you're thinking the same thing as I am.
Yeah. Ooh.
But the wrestling aspect, because I've been dealing with the concussion before this happened.
Yeah, how's that going?
It was a lot better, but unfortunately, like just this week, actually, I started having some like post-concussion syndrome, like symptoms. So it was good for like the first, like it was good for about a week and a half to 2 weeks, and now it's like. But it's also because ever since I've been at home now, I started when I started feeling good. I was at home. I was stuck at home, so I'm like, I need to start training again because I hadn't trained for like 4 weeks because I couldn't. It was like, the symptoms were too bad. Even the minute I just warmed up, and I'd have to sit down, and but I was at home and everybody was doing these fucking workouts online, and I'm like, you know what? I feel good. Let me try.
Yeah.
And even just doing like I do 100 squats and 50 push-ups every day. And it was easy at first, but now like doing it every day for two weeks now.
Yeah.
Like even now, like certain days, it's like, holy fuck, it's rough. It's rough because like even my cardio just from doing like 100 squats in a row, like I'm like blowing up sometimes, and I'm like, I don't understand this. And I'm like, yeah, all you walk around is you're at home fucking all day, either sitting down or like barely walking around, right?
Yeah.
But whatever. It's I'm trying to adapt to it. Hopefully we all go back to living our normal fucking life, right?
Hopefully soon, but who knows? It doesn't seem that way at all.
How many cases you guys got a lot of cases in Nova Scotia, or?
I think we're at like 500 or 200, 200 or 300 or something. They just announced that there's 2 deaths now.
2?
Yeah. So like nothing like Quebec, which is insanity. Montreal is like the epicenter.
I'm like, I don't leave my house unless it's to go to the grocery store once a week. That's it. I can't. I refuse to look at the numbers like as of like 3 weeks ago. Right at the beginning, my anxiety was ramped up too much, so I'm like, I can't look at the news anymore. Yeah. But like I'll look like once a week. And I remember the numbers jumped from like 135 to like 1100 in a week, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I went from looking at the numbers from being at like 1300 to being at 11,000 or close to 11,000 this weekend, and I'm like, "Oh, we have the most cases in Canada." I'm like, "Wow." Yeah. I'm a bit surprised by that. I'll be honest. I don't know why, but
I figured it would have been I figured it would have been Toronto because they're so close to the States and they do business all the time.
Yeah.
But so you guys have an international, like a very busy international airport as well. So
yeah. I thought because the first few cases were in BC, I thought, oh, that's probably where if it starts there, obviously the growth there is going to be more, right?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, and then I thought, well, Ontario, because Toronto is the busiest city probably in Canada. A lot of flights in and out, but. No, we ate a lot of it. I mean, Ontario has a lot of cases, but fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's weird, but I try to not look at the media anymore because it's like you can easily get like fucked by.
Yeah.
Who can you trust? Everybody's a fucking journalist nowadays. Like if you go on Twitter, everybody's a journalist, and it's almost unfair. You don't know who to trust. You don't know who to believe, who's right, who's wrong. It's like, fuck, man. Like, if I can't figure it out, why am I fucking worrying about this after a while, right?
Every now and again, I'll check like CBC just to like see if there's any progress, anything good coming of the news or anything like that. But when it comes to Facebook, like I try to, like sitting at home, you're always on your phone, you're doing something. But I try when I'm going through Facebook, the second I start seeing people talk about it, I'm just get off it, because no, like you said, everyone's a goddamn journalist, and then if you try to come in with some common sense and have a conversation about it, they're like, no, and then they just get on with. So it's like, why? It's like there's
so much like a lot of people use social media strictly to spew their bullshit basically.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the only release they have, so it's always like they're always looking for conflict, always. Let me look where I could fucking disagree with somebody.
Yeah.
And now with this, like you're either on one extreme or you're on the other, and then people are just like clashing online, and I'm like, I can't. Me, it was Twitter. Twitter, the minute I started realizing like that Twitter it's constantly talking about it, like it was like trending, and then everybody was like, oh, this, and someone did that. I'm like, no, I can't. So I stopped looking at Twitter. Instagram is all right because it's people's pictures and shit like that. So yeah, I'm good with that. But
I haven't really gotten into Twitter. I was trying to get into Twitter because like I've been like fans have been telling me like that's where you can get a lot of huge fan base and get people to see your shit way more. But yeah. I don't like I was slowly getting into it and getting on it every day, and then this whole lockdown happened or whatever the fuck's going on happened, and then I just went, I'm done. Like I'll get back on it at some point, I guess. But
Twitter's weird because I got on Twitter like early on because I realized that it was a hot spot. This was back when I was fighting, and it was a hot spot for MMA talk. Because everybody would watch events and they would live tweet, right? And I was like, oh, this is amazing because I watched all the fights. So I built like quickly, I got like 1,000 followers simply because I would constantly be talking about MMA with other people online, like during live events and shit like that. And I built my following. So a lot of the followers that I have are a lot of MMA talk. So now when I use Twitter, I don't even go on my own timeline. I just go like in the trending and I look. It's basically where I try to get my news. I'm like, what's trending today? I go through it, and then I go through the sports and through the pro wrestling stuff, and then I go, oh, because I use like I'll find like hashtags now, and you can add or whatever topic, and you can add that so that you don't have to necessarily follow somebody, but you can follow. It'll show you anybody talking about pro wrestling, for example, so that you could go like on this short timeline where you can just see people converse. So you'll see like the top tweet from pro wrestlers. So you'll see like Will Ospreay's tweet, or you'll see someone that a lot of likes or a lot of retweets. So then it forces you, because a lot of the conversations are going on in comments in Twitter. That's the thing, right? Like someone will post a tweet, and then people will start commenting, and then you get into it with other people, either like-minded people or, unfortunately, the thing with Twitter that it has more than anything is the negative comments and the bullshit and the people that want to go to the other extreme just because they have a boring life and they have nothing else to do and they just spend their whole fucking time, Yeah. But so I try to stay away from all that stuff because I barely comment on anything. It's because it's like sometimes you open the door, even like sometimes it's weird because I want to tweet not tweet, but I use Facebook mostly for like a lot of friends and family, people from back home that I graduated with, a lot of people like that. So I'm always a little bit more hesitant to put my sometimes my extremely transparent opinion about something because I feel that I know I'm going to get a lot of eye rolls. Yep. And I'm going to get a couple of comments where it's I don't necessarily want to have a discussion about it. Sometimes I just want to put my thought out there and not be forced to debate it later on, right? Yeah. But people then comment on it and then they expect you to reply to their comment, which I rarely do.
Yeah, I stopped that too.
It's like I post my shit and I kind of forget about it. Because sometimes I'm not looking to have a conversation based on something I just posted. It's just like sometimes I feel that sharing my thoughts on certain situations, especially like I try not to participate in this whole like coronavirus chat because I'm like it doesn't bring me any positive to my life. As long as my family's safe and I know they're safe, that's all that I have to worry about right now. So I try to still surround myself with subjects that that I know I can have some positive benefits out of.
Like you talk about Facebook. My Facebook went from my personal Facebook to wrestling. Like now all I do is you'll rarely see anything personal on anymore. If I post something with Emily or anything like that, but I got major heat with my dad's side of the family because I posted a shirt. Do you remember our hot tag T-shirt we had for a bit? It was like property of Sabotage on the front, but it only came it only came in like small and medium, and then we released it in extra small as well in females, because we were heels at the time, so we wanted to be assholes and piss people off. So how do you piss off the majority of your female fan base? Don't put out shirts in their sizes.
Yeah.
And it was I think one of the hashtags on it was no fatties, and I don't believe in that stuff or anything like that, but as I see you smiling, because as a wrestler, you know you're going to get heat for that shit. So my sister commented on it. I have two sisters, and they're not skinny, they're not huge or anything like that, but you know, they're bigger women, and the oldest of the two sisters lost it on me online, and she never comments on my stuff, never likes it, anything like that. But because that one little thing affected her, there was a big uproar about it. I still don't think I've really talked to her since. I tried, but like, I don't know what the hell fucking happened there, but whatever.
I feel like everybody is just triggered by every single thing.
Yep.
Like, I could put the most mundane thing on Facebook sometimes, and I feel like
someone's coming at you. Yeah, someone's gonna come after you for it.
It's like, and sometimes I feel like it's like because they just simply don't. It's not necessarily that they disagree with what you post. It's just that they go, like, they don't agree with their, like, why I should be the one posting that. I have a hard time explaining that, but it's sometimes I feel like people are like, why is this guy talking about this? And then they just feel the need to pick at it and go like, who are you to say things like, who are you? Who is everybody on social media? I mean, I have a voice just like anybody else, and most of the times I don't share my opinions on stuff that I don't consider like important. But sometimes I'm like, I want to make a point about something, and I don't care what the topic is.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like people are just like, they're just waiting. They're like, oh, what? Oh, he barely says anything. Let me see what he has to say. Yeah. And it's like, sometimes I keep from posting simply because I find it's not worth it. It's not worth having that heat from someone that you're like, you don't really give a shit about most of the time. And then sometimes it's like you, like a family member, and you're like, oh man, it's like, and it's weird because as pro wrestlers, I know I'm like that sometimes. It's like, but I don't play a heel, and like I'm a face, right? But as a heel, I mean, your number one job is to get heat, and you'll go through a lot of different means to get that heat, and you'll say a lot of different stuff, but it's not necessarily your point of view as Justin, right? But as, you know, as
Newhook.
As Sabotage, right? It's like fuck, man. Like, that's who I am. That's you know how I get heat.
That's what I had to explain to them. Like, I was in a heated conversation. You can ask Connors this. He was driving my car home because we were leaving Moncton that morning, and I was too angry to drive. So he got in the car, drove for me, and then I got in the car, and they tried making a conversation, like a three-way phone call or whatever, and I lost it on them. I said, why? I said, if your favorite actor in a movie says something bad that you don't agree with, do you go lose your mind at them? I was like, you have to understand that this Facebook isn't like my personal. This isn't Justin Parsons Cody. This is Justin Newhook. Yeah. This is the wrestler that is an actor, a entertainer, like that type of thing. Yeah. So yeah.
It's weird because I can't think of anything else but pro wrestling where I constantly find myself having to explain what I fucking do.
Yep.
Not just the wrestling part of it, but the other aspect of professional wrestling, the kayfabe of professional wrestling. It's like, but back when I was fighting, people would ask me, and I would tell them I was a mixed martial artist. They'd be like, "Holy shit!" You either go like you're out of your mind, or they'd be like, "Oh wow, that's so awesome! Like, how did you get in?" But I wouldn't have to force I'd be like, "This is MMA. It's like cage fighting." They'd be like, "Oh, okay." But sometimes in wrestling, pro wrestling is like, "Oh, what do you do? I'm a pro wrestler." And then you constantly have to explain yourself, number one, what it is and why you're doing it.
Yep.
And it's like a lot of people don't see the difference. Like you, for example, like, you know, there's Newhook, there's the guy you see in the ring, the guy I've been in the ring with. It's like, and then there's the guy right now that I can have a fucking conversation with. It's not the same person, and you can't be that same person, right? Because you're two completely different personas. And sometimes people have an extremely hard time to figure that out.
Yeah.
But then imagine
if I was that way in the ring, if I was like outside of the ring. Imagine if I acted like that 24/7. I'd have zero friends. I wouldn't have to. Emily shaking her head no. Like, she's like, oh my god! Like, people don't understand. You just switch.
You've met those guys though. The guys that are like that outside, and you're right. They're alone. They don't have many friends, and they don't have a lot of people that have nice things to say about them.
It's a gimmick, brother.
Yeah, you got to live the gimmick, but there's, you got to know your boundaries, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's why I love it, man. I'm always been a fan of things and people that do not only like talk like out of the box, but that do things that are really out of the ordinary. Yeah. Like not like out of the ordinary, like weird out of the ordinary shit, but like things that it would never be like, what do you want to do with your life? Oh, I want to be a professional wrestler. And you're like, okay, it's cute when you're 9 years old, right? And you say that I want to be a pro wrestler. Yeah. But when I was 33, I said that I want to become a pro wrestler, and I became a pro wrestler. Yeah. And then you tell people and they're like, a pro wrestler? And you're like, fuck, man. It's like they will never understand how amazing it feels when you're in that ring playing or being that person or that persona. And you get that. I was telling Emily that when she was on the podcast. And when you get that pop from people that paid money to come see, not necessarily you, but they came to an event, people that you don't know who they are, you'd never seen them before, and you make them react because of what you do in the ring, like storyline wise or whatever it is, you're like, oh my God, that feeling can't be duplicated. It's like a drug, right? And now that we're stuck at home, we can't have that drug anymore.
No, might as well just turn back and go back to coke and pills.
Fuck, man.
Go back to the 80s of wrestling.
Dude, oh fuck, man. I don't know. It's gonna be weird because there's gonna be a lot of wrestlers that won't be wrestlers anymore after this.
No, I think. 100%. I was thinking that the other night. Now I'm lucky. I've gotten to. I did wrestling and the Navy for 4 years, almost total, like 3 and a bit, where I would work Monday to Friday or take like a Friday off and then go wrestle all weekend and then travel back and then go back to a normal job. I got out last year, so now I'm just wrestling.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be really hard on a lot of people that are going to have to change up their lives. And then there's going to be a lot of people that want to come back. And then, I don't know, like there's definitely going to be a bunch of people that aren't going to be wrestlers anymore, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of people that need to be wrestlers.
Yeah.
Not just for themselves, but for wrestling as a whole.
You know what I mean? For the business itself.
There's a lot of people that need to stay in this business. And, my first night back, I'll probably cry. I'll probably get super emotional. You know what I mean? Because just setting up the ring, setting up the stage, getting the light. Because me and Connors, we do the lights and the sound along with our boy Cody Boggs and stuff. And we'll set everything up. And it's a good laugh the whole time. We're having a laugh. And then we play that intro song for the show and the music and the lights hit. And I know I'm just going to like start hugging everybody and just start like being a little baby. So.
Like it's fucked up how though you don't only miss the aspect, the pro wrestling, the wrestling part of it, but you miss the camaraderie and the little in betweens, the behind the curtain shit.
Ribbing each other, not even ribbing each other, just jaw jacking each other the whole time in the locker room, just talking shit the whole time.
I think the reason why I said that I think a lot of people aren't going to be pro wrestlers when all this is done. I think a lot of the, like you said, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that won't be, that still need to be. But I think the guys that were already like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like I do this regularly on the weekend just because I like it.
Yeah. There's
going to be a lot of those that are going to be like, okay, well, I've been able to adapt to a life without pro wrestling, and it's actually, I'm happier, unfortunately, because they were never really in it for, the same reason as you and I or other guys are in, right?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because you're also going to see promotions that are not going to make it as well, right? Like, it sucks because also like you're going to have a lot of fans that aren't going to be able to attend shows like as fast as they want to. A lot of people are out of a job. A lot of people, no matter, I mean, hopefully this goes back to normal sooner than later, but fuck, man, it's hard. It's hard because I think something like professional wrestling is not going to be the first thing to come back to normal, right?
No, I agree with you, but what I hope is the second that they're like, okay, people can start, like, because they're not going to go all of a sudden and just say, oh, everything's back to normal, you can go hang out with, like, we're going to have huge 30,000 people concerts and stuff. The way I see it is the way how it went. They went from only 250 people gatherings down to 100, down to 50, down to 10, down to 5. It's going to be the exact same way. They're going to ramp it up slowly. Yeah. So it's going to be like, 50 people can get together at a time, 100 people. So then some small promotions might try to put off a couple shows and stuff like that. And then as it gets up a little bit higher and the world stays at a steadiness, then they might ramp it up faster. But that's the way I see it, and like hopefully that's the way it happens, because then
it makes sense.
Because then you can have those smaller shows and then not have to worry about expenses and shit like that, and you only have your local boys there and stuff like that. You won't bring anybody in, so hopefully. But
no, I think you're right. I didn't see it like that. Obviously, they're gonna have to. It's not gonna be like from one day to the next where you're locked down at home and go, everybody can go out now.
Yeah.
And then you can obviously, if it was like that, you'd run a show on that Saturday, and everybody that's a professional wrestling fan would be like so starved for wrestling that everybody would show up, right? You'd sell out. But I think you're right. I didn't see it like that. Like if they gradually start, like, okay, we're gonna allow 50 people, so you allow a show that include the 50 people, right? And then you're able to put on a show, smaller promotions, because then you're going to be like, maybe I can just put on a few matches for, and I definitely didn't see it like that. I hopefully you're right. Hopefully gradually you start getting back to normal. And then after a while, it's just back to normal, back to business as usual,
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the whole WrestleMania thing?
I was surprised on how they were able to pull it off. I won't lie.
Yeah.
I said this to, I forget. I think it was Dawson. He was on the podcast last week. And I said, it was the Saturday right before WrestleMania. And I told him, I said, look, I've been watching Raw and SmackDown with no fans. Yeah. And I said, I've been also watching AEW. And I said, AEW does it way better than Raw or SmackDown.
Having those couple people out there.
Yes, that. And also the camera angles, tighter angles. They would shoot like more indie styles. And I'm like, these guys know how to fucking work a style where there's not a lot of people in the crowd.
Yeah.
More than a WWE production that has so many people involved, so many camera guys, so many sound guys, and then they're filming from all these different angles, and sometimes that switch to like from one angle to another to back to another angle, and sometimes you'll watch AEW and they just have a fucking hard cam shot, and that hard cam shot stays there and they work the hard cam for 2-3 minutes, and you're like, I like this way better. And so I was afraid. I was like, WrestleMania, it's either going to be like a flop, or they're going to be able to be creative with it and really let themselves go. And they did. Like for example, that Boneyard match, when it started, I was like, ugh, what the fuck? Like, am I going to... I
was getting the weird vibes too,
Yeah. And about 2 minutes in, when I started hearing The Undertaker talk shit, I was like, fuck yes. I'm like, where was this guy? This is The Undertaker we've needed all these fucking years. Yeah. Like that American badass, like shit talking this whole way. No one could, and the boos or the cheers won't, you can hear everything. He's just talking to AJ, and I'm like, yes. And the whole, obviously it's fucking, it's a buried alive match basically, right? And then it's outrageous, but they made it fucking work. And the same thing with the John Cena Bray Wyatt thing.
That was insane.
I'm like, I don't know who brought this up, but it's not until the next day that I realized that they were basically showing all of John Cena's failure, and he was playing off of each and everything that John Cena was always afraid of.
Yep.
And I was like, holy shit. I already liked it, but I even liked it even more when I read that. And I was like, holy fuck, man.
Yeah, I went and read like 2 days later, I read a breakdown of everything what this person
Yes,
took
that's
away
exactly
from
what I read from it.
Yeah, and so I said, okay, I'll go back and watch it. And I went back, and then everything was clicking. I'm like, okay, now I understand why I like this part so much, but now I actually understand this is what they were trying to get across. Yeah. So it was really cool that way. I don't think it had to be 2 nights.
That is, you're right. I don't understand why they had to do it 2 nights. Yes,
they could have. There were certain matches on both nights that either would have been pre-show or not happened at all. And I get that they're trying to get everyone to give work and everything like that, and they're trying to get all the boys on the card that are in that area. But did I really need to sit through? And it kills me to say this, but did I have to sit through Aleister Black beat the shit out of Bobby Lashley?
No.
For WrestleMania?
That could have been a Monday Night Raw match.
That should have been a Monday Night Raw match,
right?
Especially unfortunately, because I love Aleister Black, love him, but that match meant nothing to me.
And it meant nothing to him, really.
Yeah, you can see it. It was fine.
Right? It was, but not necessarily for him as an opportunity, but what I mean to the storyline or to his character, right? It was like you could have easily put that on a real good match like that on Raw.
Yep.
Because I don't know, I watched, it was Raw this week. And dude, there's a match between Aleister Black and I forget his name. Oh man. Anyway, they put on a fucking, I want to say a 30-minute match, because I don't know how many matches they put on Raw, but it was there was only 2 or 3 matches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, or maybe there was more, but there wasn't that. The first match went 20 plus minutes, and then second match went 30 plus minutes.
You'll never see
Apollo Crews. It was Apollo Crews. It was Apollo Crews versus Aleister Black, and they went on for. Even my wife was like, "Dude, is this match still going on?" I'm like, "Yeah." I went into the kitchen and I did something else while it was playing, and I came back 20 minutes later, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, is this match still going on?" And I'm like, they're doing this obviously because they need to fill time, because no one's there, right? And it's all pre-recorded. We all know at this point that these have all been recorded weeks ago. And I'm like they could have taken 3, 4, 5 matches from both Sunday and Saturday and just taken those matches, record them, and put them on Raw or SmackDown. Yeah. And have content for those nights, because it was just a match to be a match, right? There was no storyline attached to it.
Because I would have much rathered on one night having the RKO match, the Cena match, the Boneyard match, uh, KO and
Rollins.
Yeah. Like that, they're alone, plus the 2 main events and the ladder match. The ladder match was good. I loved the ladder match.
That was
like
good.
what they had to deal with. You knew they were gonna go there and do some shit, but the finish was good. It was unique.
Yep.
I liked it. So that card there, chop off some other matches, and here I am talking about wrestlers that are making millions of dollars and like a company that's making billions, telling them how to do the job. But
yeah,
I don't think it had to be 2 nights. It just didn't make sense. And like you said, take those matches and then put them on the Raw and SmackDown, so they could have stayed live. But
yeah, it's look, there's also like they did a lot with those like gimmicky matches, like the Boneyard match and stuff like that, obviously. But I actually enjoyed like Charlotte Flair versus Ripley. Like that match was one of my favorite match of the night. The story they were able to tell in the ring was amazing. And they made it work with nobody in the crowd, right? They made it. They found a way to make it work. Like even the Rollins and Owens match. Like I hate restarts in any matches. I don't like it. I just like it. You should have find a way to make it a no DQ from the beginning and not have to go through the DQ lost and then restart a match. Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
I can agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
because they could have had
wasn't
like
necessary.
They could have had an old school ROH match from the beginning. The whole match could have been just them. I don't know if you watched their ROH matches, but
yeah,
they beat the fuck out of each other. So they could have done. Just let them go out there and just do whatever they wanted. But like you said, yeah. What drives me nuts is the editing lately. If you watch the tape stuff, it's like same with WrestleMania. There was stuff that was edited, and there was other stuff that made the cut. I don't know how. Like Dolph Ziggler's entrance was shit because of Sonya Deville. She didn't know where to go. So when he jumped up on the apron, she was just standing there, like kind of like okay, whatever. So he just doesn't do anything. Finally, he gets up, gets in the ring, and then she comes sliding in the ring. It's like, why the fuck are you in the ring now? Like, give you your opening and just like production style stuff.
Well, there's one thing I saw that I hated was that there was a fall in the ladder match that you could tell they didn't show the guy hitting the floor.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, they only showed the top of the post, and he came over the corner.
Then they show him on the ground after, and you're like, "What are you doing?" Like it was like that. It was like that segment on Monday Night Raw the week before where Elias fell off the thing, right? He fell off, and then you see him on the ground after. Yeah. Like it's not like a live shot, and that kind of production like that, I'm like, oh, that's disgusting to me.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you're gonna pre-record those things, you're absolutely right. Like, if that entrance wasn't on par, then you guys should have redone it. Yeah, redo it.
Because there was some report out there, and of course, like you don't know what to believe, but there was a lot of cut, note, do that over again. Like there was a lot of stopping and starting. So, like, why the fuck couldn't you
during the matches?
During the matches.
You know what?
I'll have to go back and watch, but there is a match that I think it might have been NXT. I can't remember. There was a match recently that it cuts to one camera to another, and the person is now in position. They weren't. Oh, it was It was a triple threat. It was Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, and Damian Priest. All three amazing performers. I don't know if you've seen this match yet. Go watch it. It's a great match. Even with nobody in the crowd, it's still fucking great. So they get to a point where two of them are getting up on the top rope from the outside on the apron, and then Keith comes to go to pick them up. So it looks like he's going to do a double suplex on both of them to the inside, and he gets up. He puts one head over Priest's head, and then his other arm is about to go over Dominik Dijakovic's. So Kovic's head is here, or arm is here. Yeah. Cuts to another camera angle. He's already close. He's grabbing him, There's like, no, that didn't happen. There was
Okay.
like there was a his hand goes from behind Keith's head to grabbing him for a choke slam, and it's like, how did that get okayed? How did anybody in the production truck go, yeah, okay, well, we like, where
The
did those
best.
two,
It's the best angle we could get. Yeah, that's the best
like,
we could get. You know what? I thought about that during the Charlotte's match because there was kind of a botch, and I was like, I wonder if they botch if they restart, and then I'm like, yeah, probably obviously not because that was an obvious botch, and I was like,
yeah,
but then again, I saw other matches where I'm like, yeah, that does look weird. Like the camera
yeah,
angle is not the same. They're not in the same position that they were like, even though you're cutting to another camera.
yeah.
Yeah, it's I could not wrestle a match if you told me 3 times during the match, stop, redo it again. I'd be like, what?
Oh, that'd be brutal. It would be
Oh
brutal.
my God.
But like, it's just, to me, uh, it just, I mean, I'm huge on production. I love it, and when it's done well, it's really fucking well.
Yeah.
And then you got, like I said, you're watching some of these like companies that are making billions of dollars, and the Cesaro pre-show match, I think it was for Raw. He's got his sunglasses on,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden,
Yes.
just nope.
He's in the ring, right? And he's got his sunglasses on, and then instantly they're gone. And I'm like, yes, that's fuck. I forgot about that.
Like, you couldn't have taken the 2 seconds to go cut. Hey man, take your sunglasses off. Stay in the same position. We'll make a camera angle change at this moment. So it's like whatever. But it's literally just, they're gone.
Oh shit.
It's like a 2K20 glitch or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, I'm just happy that I can still watch them wrestling, right?
No, for sure, and that's why I'm like, I give it the okay, whatever, because they're doing the best that they can with the amount of people they can. So I get it. It's just sometimes hard to see from a company that can have a highlight package ready before a show is even finished.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're putting the last clips. I don't know if you remember watching back in the day. They'd have the highlight clips of the whole pay-per-view. And then they're finishing it off with the last match as it's playing.
Oh yeah.
So like
yeah,
they start the highlight clip and it's the beginning matches, and then at the end of the video they have the things that you just watched from the main event, and you're like, how did they do that? Because they're literally editing a live video and putting it in place. So like, watching a company be able to do that and then you never see that live. You know what I mean? Like, it's just but they're doing, like I said, they're doing the best that they can, and they're still doing a great job. So
yeah. Look, at the end of the day, they're putting out a product, and they're still trying to, keep fans interested, right?
Yeah.
In the product. Like, it's a bummer, man. Like, for someone like me that consumes like sports, like not just pro wrestling. Like, I'm a huge sports fan. Like, I love football. I just don't love watching it, but I love the news behind it, like especially at this time of year with the draft and who's drafting who and who's like the trades and the free agency. Like, same thing with basketball. Like, I love that aspect of sports, like free agency and all that kind of stuff. And to go from having that like at night to like being my release, like sometimes I need a distraction. It's midweek, I can't wrestle, I've been to the gym already, I'll fucking put on some sports and I'll listen to some sports. To have zero of that, go from like completely missing that outlet, that thing that distracts you, I miss that a lot. And I'm just happy that I'm actually watching more wrestling now, because it's one of the only thing live left on TV, that's not pre-recorded. Like yesterday, I got stuck watching a fucking Blue Jays game from 1993, because it was the only sport they had on TV. And I'm like, I just want to watch some sport. I want to watch something else than being on my fucking phone and reading about all this bullshit,
Yeah. For the first like couple weeks, like normally me and Emily we'll study all the time. Like every day we'll put on a couple matches and just watch them. But for the first couple weeks, I couldn't do it. I couldn't watch any wrestling. We barely watched. Like, I'd skim through SmackDown, Raw, and AEW, see how they're keeping up with this live. But as for stuff online, like all these companies are putting out free matches and stuff to watch, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't fucking do it. I was like, I miss it too much. And like I've come to terms with it now. I've accepted it a little bit more. So that's where I think I'm coming out of my funk because, like I said, I was just.
It's hard, right? And I've been saying this for a long time. Like pro wrestlers, guys like you, you're all in, right, in the business. You're like, this is what I want to do with my life, and you give it your all, right? I work with a lot of these guys, and you included. It's your identity, right? And then you go from not being able to be creative, not being able to basically paint your canvas because you don't have access to it anymore, right? Yeah. It's like you can't be creative. You can't let your mind get there. And then the thought about it makes you sad because you're like, it makes me so happy to do it and I'm unable to do it. Yeah. And it's like, it's hard to get out of that funk because you're trying to find yourself outside of wrestling. I find like I'm trying to find who I really am without wrestling because I don't have it. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's been my identity for 4 years. I've been doing this for 4 years, and everybody that knows who I am I know a lot of people through pro wrestling. Like you know me through pro wrestling. My identity to you is I'm a pro wrestler. To guys like Marston, like all my brothers that I consider family, all you guys, I met you guys through wrestling, and I'm happy that I'm able to still talk to you guys and have a conversation. Because honestly, like I was thinking about this before we logged on. It's like, you know what I fucking miss? I miss hugging the guys. I can hug my wife, right? Like I hug my wife. She's my wife. I love her to death, but. Giving you a hug when I see you, how like I'm happy to see you, so I give you a hug. Like when I see Marston, it's like every time we like hug each other, but like we hold on to each other and we talk to each other, and it's like, God damn, I fucking miss that. I miss that, and it's not like a personal thing or a sexual thing. It's just like that, like oh fuck, I miss you. I'm so happy to see you.
You know how good it is after like a 12-hour drive to see everyone there and just like I'm getting hugs.
Because you're getting hugged by someone that's genuinely happy to see you, and it's always
you can feel it.
Oh man, like I said, I love hugging my wife and she loves hugging me, but it's like we've been together for 14 years. Like I don't walk up to her when she's in the kitchen and necessarily hug her all the time, you know. And it's weird because it's like it's those little things that you take for granted when you're behind the curtain and pro wrestling. Because if you've been in the business for long enough, and like I was telling Emily, like 4 years it ain't shit right in the business for me. Like I'm still green, I'm still learning a lot, and I still have so much more to learn. But when you do it every weekend, there's little things that are all the time the same, right? You sit down, you open your suitcase, you get your gear out. Those little things, those little routine things, like I miss that. Packing my suitcase on a Saturday afternoon to get ready to leave, right? Like I literally had to like tell myself like out loud at a certain point, like you're not wrestling this Saturday. It's like stop getting ramped up, because I would start getting ramped up on Thursday and Friday to wrestle on Saturday. And then I would be at home and I'd be like all jacked up, and I'd have to be like, dude, you're not wrestling Saturday. You don't have to get there. Yeah. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm not. And then I slowly started to get out of that. And then you're forced to basically find who you are outside of wrestling, right? Yeah. And I think a lot of people might not enjoy, unfortunately, the person they might be outside of wrestling.
You're spot on there. You're spot on there.
It's rough because this is why I like, for example, for me, this podcast thing is something that I've been trying to do for like 10 years. I've started numerous podcasts. I did one for a long time with a friend of mine. And then I stopped, and then I restarted a new one, and then I did a new one. And then I started this one, and then only recently I was like, you know what? Like I really love doing podcasts. It's something that I enjoy and I want to do. And I'm like, I need to take the advantage that I'm given right now, the opportunity that I don't have to go to work, and so that I can get that, that I can do these things, because I'm like, I enjoy doing this, and it's like I said, like I was becoming afraid that that having an identity solely about being a pro wrestler, that's having an identity of something that could be taken away at a snap of a finger. You know, like having one bad bump and then your career being like completely done. Like you can never let your mind go there as a professional wrestler, because the moment you let your mind go there, you're fucked, because now every match you're worried about getting injured, and you can never wrestle like that, right? Because you're not free enough, because you're never allow yourself to be so creative and take the risks necessary to have great matches, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I also saw like I needed something else, and I needed to have like not necessarily like a backup, but something that after wrestling I'd be able to fall back onto, and that I would enjoy doing, like professional wrestling. Like I do wrestling basically for free, you know, like pay my gas money and I'll show up at your show and I'll wrestle if you give me gas money sometimes. And same thing with podcasting. I don't make money off of this, but being able to have a conversation with you about whatever we want to fucking talk about, just having that interaction, like I enjoy it so much, and that's why I enjoy podcasting. And I'm trying to see this fucking coronavirus shit as an opportunity to be able to spend a lot of energy and time on something that I didn't have as much time before to do, you know.
That's really well put, because that's what happened when everything shut down. I was sitting around going, what do I do? Like I'm supposed to be going to the gym right now. I'm not going to the gym. Should be getting ready to go on the road. No, we're not doing that. Yeah. So it's like, what do I like? I started playing video games a little bit more because that's what I used to love doing before I got into before I got in the military. I found I didn't really play a lot of video games in the military either, but I just find like I'm just sitting down playing a game now, and it's enjoyable. Like I won't let myself get trapped in a rabbit hole and play 10 hours at a time. But like I'll get into it, and that's nice. But like you said, I need to find something where it's not just, because I'll continue working out. Like I got weight set there now, and the bench and everything now I bought, so I have that now. But as for trying to find who I haven't had identity outside of wrestling, that's really well put, because now I gotta think of some hobbies that I wanted to do that I just never did before. Right.
It's weird because I started baking and I love it, and I'm actually not bad at it, and it's like the weirdest thing, because it's like that process of baking for some reason like calms me the fuck down. So I've just been baking cookies, and yesterday I did banana bread, and I'm gonna try making bread tomorrow. Like it's this whole thing, because like a lot of these podcasts I book for the weekend, like because a lot of people are more comfortable or are more willing to do it like on Saturdays and on the weekend, because a lot of people still work. Like I did a podcast before this, the guy still works full-time job. He already worked from home. So he keeps working from home, right?
There you go.
So and a lot of people have kids and stuff. So I try doing it on weekends, but so during the week, I'm like, I'll contact a few people, and it takes 5 minutes. Hey, you want to do my podcast? Hey, you want to do my podcast? Hey, you want to do my podcast? And then I'm done. So now I'm like, well, now I have to do other things. And like my wife said, well, you can paint. We can do the bathroom. And I'm like, yeah, maybe not right now. And I don't feel like painting right now. Yeah. And so I'm like, let me try baking. I've always like, let me try it. And then I tried, and I fucking fell in love with it. It's the weirdest thing, because I never thought it would be something that I would, number one, be good at, and number one, enjoy doing it, because it's such a simple task, but it's a lot of fun. People find it boring, and I don't, because it like calms me down in some weird fucked up way, right?
Yeah, that's good. You found something. Then.
Yeah, and same thing with video games. Like every day I at least spend an hour on Madden. Like I love playing Madden. It's basically the only game I play on PlayStation. And in the morning I'll spend like an hour I'll play it, because it relaxes me and I enjoy it. And then that's it. I'm done for the day. I've never been big into video games, but like at this point it's like I have to kill an hour, or I'm just gonna sit on my ass and do absolutely nothing and go crazy, you know. It's do you think that it would be obviously would be a lot different if you'd still be in the military, right?
100%. Yeah,
right?
yeah. So there's what's happening right now around here is a lot of people were just sent home for like a month because they're not essential to stuff. So there's still duty watches on the ships that are happening, and then there's still like I think they even shut down coursing and stuff like that. So it's basically just bare minimum manning to just keep like the buildings like from not being, because even with certain buildings and stuff, there's equipment in it that they have to check every day just to make sure. So stuff like that, they're gone to like skeleton crew basically. So
Yeah.
for me, I don't know if I'd be sent home or if I'd be like a part of anything that'd be going on, because who's to say or who know where I'd be. But there's certain people that there was a ship coming back from a sail, and they just stayed out in out in the bay for a while until they were cleared. They got everyone tested on the ship.
Yeah.
Then they brought them in, and then they quarantined them in a hotel for 14 days, and then they sent them to their families. So it's just like, fuck that. I'm glad I'm out.
Were you in the Navy or in the
Yeah,
military?
Navy.
You're in the Navy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. Almost 10 years, like 9 years and 9 months or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. I'm glad I'm out. Like there wasn't no more for me there, and everybody there could feel it too. So it's just like got out, and now whenever all this shit fixes itself, I'm gonna go back to school for crane operating. So.
Okay. What was your job in the Navy?
I was a naval electronics sensors operator in NESOP. They if you ever to put it down in basic terms, I used passive radar and the big guns and missiles on the ship.
Yeah.
That stuff.
My uncle is actually in the Navy. He's retired
Nice.
now. He was there. He joined in 1980 when I was born, and he did 20 years. He retired in 2000, and obviously got his pension and stuff. But he was in the Navy too. He was based in Halifax almost his whole career, and he was a weapons technician, I think, on the ships. So he went to the Desert Storm in 1990. He was part of the crew that went, the 3 ships that left in 1990 from Halifax. He was on one of the ships.
Sick.
Yeah. So when I found out you were in the military, I was curious. I'm like, well, if he's in Halifax, it must be the Navy, because they're all
Yeah.
I think they're the only part of the thing there. So yeah, sorry. So you were you did the radars and the big guns on the ship.
Yeah. So basically, what your uncle did was fix the stuff that I would break.
Oh.
Yeah. So we and the thing is with the Navy, you're a sailor first, so you've got all this other training that you have done before you become your trade training. So you're a sailor first, so you get up and do those tasks first, like the cleaning stations and just everything you can think about that needs to be done to keep a ship alive. And then you're a trade, then you're in your trade, then you're doing your job. So you're always, like, if you're sailing, you sail on a 5-5-7-7 schedule. So you got 5 hours off, 5 hours on, 7 hours off, 7 hours on. That was my schedule, because in combat, the combat trades, you don't stop. There's always got to be people manning the equipment. For clerks, they would work a 9-to-5 job or 8-to-4, whatever it was. So they would have nights off. But if you're working, like, I'd sail for, I think the longest I sailed was like 32 days straight before touching another port. And that was 32 days straight of 24 hours a day. So you got your 5 hours to sleep, or do whatever you want to do. 5 hours of working, off for 7 hours. That's when a lot of people would sleep, or work out a bit, then get some sleep. Then you're on for 7 hours again, and then you just keep.
This 32 days you did, this is when you were a sailor, or this is when you were in your trade?
Sailor. So, sorry. So, when I say as a sailor in trade, it's the same thing. Like, it's just that everyone's a sailor first.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
The priority, you mean?
Yeah.
The priority in your task.
Yeah, like everyone's a sailor first. So you got to remember your safety training, your all that stuff. That's always needs to be in your head, and then on top of that, your trade as well. So like it's just you gotta, like in the States, a lot of people will, if you're this is your job, like just say you have one particular job, that's all you do. You go, you do that, and you fuck off. You go, you come back, and you do it, and you fuck off. So like there's people that are just trained to do one thing, and that's all you do. But with us, like we're so cross trained that if someone goes down in the ops room on a different piece of equipment in a different trade, say something happens, we can kind of get by working on their stuff until someone else steps in. So like radars and stuff like that. But if you ever sat me down in front of sonar, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do.
That's interesting. I thought you were the, I get how it works though. Like you got different tasks, but you're basically a sailor. So all those tasks that you learn, you have to do them, even though you still have like your regular job to kind of do and juggle at the same time, right?
Yeah, because like I'm trained, or I was trained in firefighting, like shipborne firefighting and shipborne emergencies and stuff like that, like man overboard stuff, and that's where everybody's got to come together. So you're always that first, and then on top of it, you need to do your trade. So
you did a lot of traveling, obviously, when you were in the Navy.
Yeah, not as much as I wish I did, but I visited Greenland, Scotland, Ireland, Kuwait, Oman, Dubai, Djibouti, which is my favorite word to say ever. Djibouti. And then I don't know if you know what the Seychelles are.
No.
So they're small islands off the east coast of Africa, like off the tip. And they're just like a bunch of like small islands. You know who Richard Branson is?
Yes.
Yeah, so he owns an island out of all those islands. He owns one of them.
Okay.
So we like sailed by it, and you could tell like this was his island. It wasn't that it was flashy, but it was like, yeah, there's like one big house, and then there's like,
yeah.
But we went to another island, and it was like tropical. Just even when it rained, like because we were there for a couple days, and when it rained one time, and it didn't matter. Like 30 seconds after it stopped raining, you drive back off. Like it was just.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a really cool place. I got to drive like a dune buggy there. So it was a standard dune buggy, and it was a right-hand side drive.
Holy
so shit. I rented a normal like little hatchback, like automatic, and my buddy rented that. We're sitting down at the restaurant, and I'm about to take like a bite of my burger, and all of a sudden I just hear grinding of gears. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like it hurt my ears because at the time I still drove standard. So my buddy comes in and he's all frustrated, and he just looks at me. He's like, "Is that your white hatchback out there?" I was like, "Yeah, well, what's up?" And he just threw his keys at me, and he's like, "Can I drive yours and you drive mine?" I said, "What are you driving?" So I just stand up and look out, and it's this red dune buggy that's got the convertible top down and stuff like that. It's a 2-seater, and I just right away I said, "You're goddamn right." I ripped around that whole the island's probably. Geez, you could probably get across the island in like 45 minutes driving, not even. So it was a tiny island. Oh. And I was ripping up and down that place. And they were on holiday during the weekend that we were there. So only like that restaurant, one like little tiny like ghetto casino, and then a couple other like bars were open. So everybody knew the Navy was there. And then I went by the ship. And as I'm driving up to the ship, at the time, like my combat officer, my coxswain, and like another officer, like high, big deal guys that are on the ship, were walking down the sidewalk, and I'm just ripping down the road. And then I turn around and I come ripping back, and they wave me down, and they said they're not mad because like, you know, what are they gonna do? Yeah. But they weren't surprised that it was me. That's what they had to say. They weren't surprised it was me. I was picking up somebody for a half hour, getting them in the rig, and we're gone. Oh, and I bring them back. I was taking everybody all over. Like I was told not to go on beaches, but like, tell me not to do something and I'm going to do it. So it was just like I'm ripping up and down the beaches, sand's flying everywhere. And that was a great time.
Wow. How
Yeah.
old were you when you got in the Navy? You're pretty young.
22, 21, something.
Wow.
20, yeah, 21, I guess. Something like that.
And all in all, do you think you had a positive experience in the Navy, or would have been negative?
50-50, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, I met a lot of fake people.
Really?
A lot of fake people that if you're not a ass kisser, then you're not going to get most places. And I would never have said this before, when I was in there, you know what I mean? Because
Obviously,
it's
yeah.
just, or like, I don't give a shit, like what they say now. Because you're going to be fake people everywhere.
Obviously, yeah.
But in a profession where your life is on the line a lot of the times, you don't feel safe. So, and like, the Army's a different story because like I'm not in it, but from what I've heard, they're a lot closer. But with
Yeah.
the Navy, there's so much clicks and everything like that. It's so much bullshit. But in the same breath, I met some really great people that I still talk to today. So, but that's probably less than 10.
That's yeah. I guess it's not easy, if you start
Well,
meeting
everyone's
people
trying.
like that, and
Yeah.
yeah, like everybody's trying to get up the ladder, right?
Yeah.
It's like
And I'm not a brown
corporate,
noser.
right?
I'm not
Yeah.
a brown noser. I can't do it. Like, if you don't take me for my work ethic and how much of a team player I am, then
Yeah.
fuck you. Then fuck you. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and kiss your ass or go to a bar with you and buy you drinks and kiss your ass just to be the number one on the list to go get promoted. Fuck you. No, I'd rather not do that. That's not who I am. And then from the beginning, because when I excuse me, from the beginning, like I had a drug problem. So my attitude wasn't that great from the beginning. Like right out of basic training, I went to trade training and then I just started doing drugs, which I obviously regret now. I'm like, it'll be 8 years this summer I've been clean. So no, something like that. I don't know. It's been many years I'll be clean.
Yeah.
And it was just really, really bad for a while. And so my work ethic just went to shit anyways. And I just didn't care. Like I was still there for the team and I still wanted to be there for everybody. But when I got clean in everybody's eyes in my trade, which is one of the smaller trades in the Navy, I was shunned. No one gave a shit at that point. You know what I mean? It's all that's the drug addict. That's you know what I mean? So I could never shake that. And then when I realized that I could never shake it, I just said, fuck you all then. I really didn't care. I just it got to the point where when I realized I was getting out of the military, the Navy, I requested to just be put with a completely different trade. So I did like clerk work. I worked with some really good people in my trade that worked outside of the ships. And they were the guys who would train you to use the big like remote controlled boats. They're not remote controlled. They are like they're basically large remote controlled boats that are moving targets for the ship to shoot at.
Okay.
So I went with them and learned how to operate that system and train other people to operate it. And I got to drive around and I learned how to use trailers. So like how to back up trailers because of that, which is awesome. Those were great people. And then when it got to the next step of me getting out, where I had a lot of appointments and stuff like that, they put me in a job where I was, not that I wasn't busy, but it was a paperwork job. So I could pause it at any time, go to my appointment, my release appointment, my medical over here, come back, and then go back to work. And they were great people too, but they were reservists. So maybe that's why they were nice.
It's man.
But it was a good experience, and it really shaped me in who I am today. And I wish I could have put some of those things into practice when I was still in the Navy. But I'm glad I'm out because I still felt like a sheep. Like I couldn't be who I wanted to be. Like
Yeah.
I got shit on by everybody in my trade. Like so a lot of people for wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, you can't do that because you're gonna get hurt. And I signed a waiver saying that if I got hurt, it's on me. It's not on the military. Like
Wow.
I gave up that. You know what I mean? So uh, and I didn't care because it was a lot of older people. It was a lot of older people in the trade. I won't shit on the younger people in the trade because a lot of them got it and thought it was cool and oh, you're a wrestler, and they were like, oh, I remember when I was 8, like you said, and is Stone Cold still wrestling? I was like, nah, man, no, homie, he's out now. But after I got out, there was such a release of stress. Because now I'm like, I don't have to answer to 18 people. I know in any job you have to answer to bosses, but you're so defined on who you are and who you're allowed to be in the military. They say that, oh, you can do what you want and everything like that, but you can't. I got shit on for so many things, and I've seen people get shit on for a lot of things.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you do that there's a lot of restrictions, because I guess, I don't know, whatever the reason for, but you're right. It's like you're not allowed to be yourself 100%. Like you can't, because you have to be this person in between these barriers of like whatever your job is, or because at the end of the day, you're part of a unit that can go to war.
Yeah.
And like it's fucked up if you really think about it, because there's so many different jobs. Either you be in the military or the Navy or the Air Force, and there's so many different jobs, from being behind a desk to being in the infantry front line, right?
Yeah.
But all that to make basically a military work, like the Canadian military. It's also something that people become, and it becomes their identity, and they're so proud. It's something that, like, I'm in the military. My father was in the military. I'm in the military. It's like one of those things, right? Yeah. And they see that like as you got to wear that cape. And once you put that cape on, like you can't really be anything outside than what's written on this cape that you are allowed to do,
Yeah.
And it's like, I could see someone like you, obviously, that would not work. It's like me. Like when my uncle being in the Navy, I went through the application process because I thought to myself, it's something that I need, the discipline. Like this was when I was like 22 years old. Yeah. And I remember I went to see one of my college professors for a recommendation. She could write a recommendation letter for my application, and she basically told me, she's like, I don't think you should go in the military. She's like, I'm like, why? She's like, you don't do well with being told what to do. She's like, you need to do whatever you want to do. You don't do well with authority, and you're like, if you go to the military, that's where they're gonna kill you. They're gonna tell you what to do, and you're gonna have to do what they want you to do. Yeah. And I quickly realized that, maybe she's right, because I was young, and even now it's like, like, me, right? Like I'm not one to stay in between the lines. Like I do not like to be told to be a certain way. I want to be as transparent as possible. And if I don't agree with you, I won't say that I agree with you simply to brown nose somebody into a better position. And I worked corporate for many years. I worked in an office where I would dress up nice to go to work, and I did it for 10 plus years. And in the end, I was like, I can't do this, because every time I sit in a meeting and then I sit there and I agree with zero of what they said, I would always be the guy that would raise his hand, go, can I say something? And they would hate that. Yeah. Because everybody was just waiting to get out of the meeting. So they were just like, I agree with you, what you said, blah, blah, blah. I would always disagree with my boss, and they didn't like it. No. They didn't like it that I gave my opinion, because they're like, just agree with us, please. Just agree with us. Because now they know that the job they're going to ask me to do, I'm not going to like doing it, because I don't agree with it, right? I don't agree with the way they're asking me to do it. That's the thing as well, right?
I got shit on a lot because I found out, like a lot of times I'd raise up my hand because I had safety issues or something, and be like, can we just do it this way, because it's a lot safer? Or I would go, well, I worked since I was 15 years old before I got in the military, and I worked as a janitor, a video store clerk, a fish plant worker. I can name off a bunch of jobs that I've done. I've built houses from the ground up, and I would raise my hand and go, actually, if we did it this way, it'd be faster and better and cheaper for, the bill.
Yeah.
And I'd get shit on because now I'm making some fucking guy that only worked McDonald's before he got in the military, which is fine. Like
Yeah.
if you never worked any jobs before you got in the military, that's fine. But someone that doesn't have as much life experience as me, that I have to now listen to because you're a higher rank. And it's like, okay, I respect the rank, but you're a fucking dickhead.
Yeah.
You won't let me do it this way because I know it's better because I've done this job in the civilian life. But now because we're in the military, everybody's got to be involved and have their say. And it's just like, all right, well.
It's not efficient either, right? Like when you have so many people looking over with the job that you do, there's no efficiency there. And that's why I hated to work in the corporate environment, because I found that everything they did wasn't efficient. You had to verify something with 3 people sometimes just to send out a fucking email. I'm like, I don't understand how you think that's efficient. You're basically paying me to ask somebody for 30 minutes and then wait on a response if she's in a meet. Like, I hate when someone does something just because it's been the way it's been done for 30 years. We've been doing it like this forever. This is how we're going to do it. And then I brought my ideas and basically saying, like, it's not efficient. I can do it in a more efficient way if you allow me to. And they were like, nope, do it that way. And I'd be like, I don't understand. It's weird.
I remember we were on deployment over in the Middle East, and we were running out of targets that we could set out in the water to shoot, because they have to be like, they can only be wood or plastic that biodegrades, like stuff like that. So for the environment.
Yeah, of course.
So we're running out of those targets, and I was just like, I can build targets for us if you want. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, there's a bunch of wood on the ship, and I know how to build stuff, and I can make it strong that it can withstand waves, and we'll have targets to shoot at. They're like, no, we can't do that, anything like that. So they run it by up all the bosses, and it comes back down, and they're like, okay, go build one target, and we'll see. So I fucking go up, and the whole time I'm just trying to build a wooden target with this, like I said, there's plastic on it and stuff like that, biodegradable. But there's like these things, just plastic tubes and stuff that I attach to it. And the whole time I'm building it, I got 2 bosses over my shoulder telling me how to do it. And I look at them and go, have you ever used a drill? Have you ever built anything in your life? Like, don't include IKEA. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, have you ever built anything in your life with your own hands? They're like, well, no. I'm like, well, shut the fuck up and get out of my face. So it gets to the point that we test it out. We lower it down in the water off the crane and everything like that. Stays afloat, good to go. Goes out in the water, boom, blow it up, boom, cool. Comes back from the CO, great job. And it killed my bosses to give me that little, it's a little piece of paper that, just signed by the CO, great job. Killed them to give me that piece of paper because it made me look good, and it wasn't their idea.
They didn't get the recognition, so they were, No. It's like, it's corporate. It's weird, but it is. That's exactly the corporate. Like once, I remember exactly the day that they basically, I was working for this company and they basically tried firing me, and they thought I was just gonna just roll over and die and accept their offer, and then I went, wait a minute. Like bullshit. And then I started telling basically the HR woman, like, here's my side of the story. And then at the end of my side of the story, she went, oh, and she's like, fuck. I'm like, do you think I'm going back to work right now? I'm like, I'm going to leave right now. And tomorrow I'm going to come back to work and you're going to offer me a package and I'm not going to work here anymore. I'm like, you guys obviously don't want me here anymore. But now I just kind of like fucked up your whole kibosh by telling you what the side of the story is. And everything I told her, she could verify. It's not like I was telling lies, And I came back the next day and she was like, here's a 6-month package. We're going to pay you to stay home for 6 months. And then after that, you can go on unemployment. And please sign this saying you won't sue us for trying to, if you accept this package, you can't come back and, bring us to court for whatever. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I signed it. And I remember for that whole year of not working, but not going to work, oh my God, it was a life changer. So I can imagine like if like you go to somewhere every day where you're unhappy, how
10 years.
it's
10
such a
years.
drain, you know?
Yeah.
Like you just like me the sitting in a cubicle answering phones at one point, that was my job. I'm in a cubicle, I'm answering phone calls, and half the people calling are pissed off about something. And I'm like, fuck my life. It's the only time in my life I could genuinely go, like I probably said that to myself like a lot of the times. I don't like saying that to myself, you know, fuck my life, because I always think like, God, there's people that have it worse, you know. But yeah, it's and now 10 years later, I'm fucking pro wrestler, do this, do that. I'm at a job that doesn't define me, but I love and I make a lot of good money. I'm like, I'm such in a better place, you know. It's messed up because a lot of people sit back in that comfort. They're like, yeah, I hate my job, but it pays well and I'm comfortable. I get to put a roof over my head. But they don't realize how much of that drain kills anything about like their ambitions or anything. Like it's not fucking motivating when you get home from 8-hour shift that you hate. And then you want to force yourself to either go train or either do something fun. You just want to fucking sit down and fucking hate your life until you go to bed, you know?
Yep.
It's but then again, like you said, like something like the military, you're a different person today because of the military.
Yeah.
And there's some good aspects to that, right?
Yeah. Really great aspects of it. And so I wish I could, like I said, I wish I could have put some of those practices into practice while I was still in there. But now I'm more set up for the rest of my life because of it. Because before going into the military, I was up in Fort McMurray for just over a year doing trade stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's where I fell in love with the trade. Like just, it's got a kind of like wrestling vibe to it because you're working with all these different people, and you find the right crew and you're just shit talking each other and you're working, and by the time you're done work, you're like, oh shit, I'm gone home. And so I did welding for a bit up there. I did a heat technician, and I did laboring for a bit, and then I did a bit of millwright work as well. So knowing that I loved that aspect, the second I was getting out of the military, I was like, I'm going to go back into the trades because that's who I am. But what am I going to do? And then I think it was driving, it was either to Quebec City or Montreal, one or the other. And you just see cranes. It was Montreal. And you just see cranes everywhere. And I was like, yeah, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I was like, it's not going to define me who I am. I'm, you know, once I go to school and everything like that, I literally go to work, pick things up, move them, put them down, leave, and then I go do and be who I want to be. Yeah. I don't need to do any bullshit. So, and there's good money in that. So hopefully by the time I'm 40, I'll have enough money saved up where I can buy my own mobile crane truck and just kick back and pick my own hours.
See, there's so many people. You can choose to live a life so many different ways, right? Like people will pick the safety of a 9-to-5 job and just that's it, right? Because they want the easy path. They don't want any trouble. They don't want to, you know, they want the security of having money and having a thing. And then you have other people.
That's what we've been trained as kids. From being kids, that's what we've been told basically, is to go do that and just get that, hook that 9-to-5 job. And like I got in the military and I give up the benefits and the pay and everything like that. And it's just like, no, I'm fucking good because I need to be who I need to be. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, but it's true because, you know, as a young age, you're trained to, you know, show up on time and be between the lines and do this and do that and listen to your superior and all that. And then it's hard for guys like us because even at a young age, like I did not like being in between the lines. Like I needed to explore. I needed to be free. I always, you know, like I explained this to someone one day. I said, I always felt the need to be creative, but I didn't want to be creative in a, like, I'm a painter or I can draw well, or I can make shit with my hand. I could never figure out what it was. And the first day I walked into a wrestling ring, that's where I figured out that I'm like, oh, this is art. And I could be as creative as I want to be with a different thing than having a paintbrush in my hand.
Yeah.
And it's weird, right? Because it's never something that you can be whatever you want to be when you grow up. Like you can be a doctor, a dentist, this, that. Nobody ever says you can be a pro wrestler, a stand-up comedian, this and that. Like those are all legitimate jobs that pay, if you do it right and you're good at it, can make you a lot of fucking money and can give you the lifestyle that you really want to live. But that freedom of being really who you are, you have to make the sacrifices in life where you're gonna have to do shit you don't like for a few years in order to get yourself there. That's the issue. And a lot of people aren't willing to do those sacrifices. They want that end product right now. And if they can't get it, then I'm just gonna fucking do my 8 to 5, my 9 to 5, and then I'm gonna come home, buy a 6-pack of beer, sit in front of the TV until I pass out, and that's gonna be my life, right? And it's nothing wrong with that. Like there's people I know that, they just want to be their little family life, and that's fine. And I understand that. That's just not who I am. And it's not easy to find something that's going to give you that opportunity. Like listen, being a pro wrestler, you're going to have to find a job that gives you that capacity to be able to travel a lot, especially on weekends. You know better than anybody. Like you wrestle every Saturday. You can't have a job where you work on weekends, or if you're gonna have a job you work on weekends, it's gonna have to be early in the morning or whatever the case may be, and gonna have to find a workaround around. Man, it's and a lot of times you sacrifice good jobs because of certain things like that, right? Because you're willing to do it. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed part 1 of my conversation with Justin Newhook. Part 2 will be released next Tuesday on episode 33. If you haven't done so, don't forget to subscribe to This Savage Life, available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. Also, I release all the episodes on my YouTube channel, so go ahead and subscribe to that as well. You can find me on YouTube under Savage Paulson. Again, thanks a lot. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. And to everybody that tuned in, downloaded, shared, commented, everything, I really appreciate the fuck out of you. Until next week, much love, everybody.